Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times Willie B, we will be reviewing A Clockwork Orange. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Russell, brother.
Welcome back to Fast Times Willie B. I'm Willie B. I've got Kory with me. Kory, how we doing?
Good. Feels good to be back. Right at the beginning of the year, too.
Yeah.
Are these your first reviews of the year?
I did 5 easy pieces so far,
right.
and I think that's it.
Shows I'm a good friend to not know that. I mean, I knew that, but I just forgot it.
I looked back. So last time what was the last review we did back in December? We did Nosferatu.
Yeah, thank
We were
you.
talking about it was a long time since we had done a movie review together. A few drafts. And you mentioned it might be Deadpool and Wolverine. It was Joker 2.
I did. I went back and looked and saw that, too, and I was like, oh, yeah, I know why
So
I
it's still a
forgot
couple
that.
of months, though.
Because
Yeah.
I've wanted to forget that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Still a couple of months, though, so we weren't too far off.
October to December is still pretty crazy.
Yeah. So,
Especially for
with the
Halloween.
week that we're about to have coming up. So,
No kidding. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, what a banger week.
yeah, it's going to be fun. But we're going to start here today with A Clockwork Orange. It was voted on by you guys to be the 1971 film that we review here on Fast Times with Willie B. Directed by Stanley Kubrick, released in December of 71. Nominated for 4 Academy Awards, but didn't win any. It was nominated for Best Picture, Director, Screenwriting, and Editing. All of which you could see.
Fair.
See why.
Yeah.
Malcolm McDowell, the big name, the star of the film, plays
one
our
of my
lead Alex. I remember the first time I watched this movie, you watched it. It wasn't your first time, but you watched it
we
with
watch it
me.
together?
Yeah, it was for my 31 nights. It was for 31 nights of Halloween, not this past year, but the year before.
I remember that. I thought I watched that. I thought I rewatched it alone in my house. Okay.
Yeah. So I remember we watched it, and you're like, "No, who that is?" And I was like, "Who?" And you're like, "That's Malcolm McDowell." And I was like,
Yeah.
from Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I know him from.
Me personally, I'm just going to throw this out there. Malcolm McDowell is on my list. I brought it up before on this podcast of weird actors that I love.
Yeah.
Like these are like some of my favorites that no one talks about. He's on that list.
Yeah.
Not because Halloween, not because of Clockwork Orange, but because Teen Titans. He voices my favorite villain in that, Mad Mod. Didn't know it for years. The day I found out, I almost exploded.
Yeah.
That's
That's
but
awesome.
now I can't unhear it.
Yeah. He has.
And I forgot. Sorry, Superman the animated series. He also did Metallo. Keep
Okay.
going.
I was going to say, he has a distinct voice. He narrates throughout all of A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
But we'll start with the good. I agree with the nominations.
Sure.
This film is very well edited. It's very well directed. You know you're going to get that with Kubrick. He's one of the best to ever do it.
Sure. Yeah. Great at breaking people in half.
Yeah.
As a person.
This story
Spirit.
is buck wild, but it's interesting. I think it's a very good... there's a lot of things that, like, you watch and you're like, they kind of don't sit well with you. It's a little uneasy, a little
Which
disturbing.
is meant to be. Yeah, absolutely.
But that's
the
Kubrick.
point.
That's Kubrick.
That's the point. Kubrick is somebody that kind of had to grow on me.
Yeah.
Like, the first time I watched A Space Oddity, 2001 A Space Odyssey, The Shining even, and A Clockwork Orange. The first times I watched those movies, I was like, I liked it, but like pretty heavily disappointed. Like, this isn't what I was looking for. And then on rewatches, I completely change my tune every time.
Yeah.
He's just somebody that had to grow on. He's got a very specific style or whatever.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Robert Eggers.
Yeah.
If he's not for you, it can be a pretty grating experience.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is.
Yeah.
He had to grow on me as well.
I like how you said style, because that's exactly what it is. Every Kubrick movie feels the same, but I love the style of a Kubrick movie.
Yeah.
This one is exactly the same. It's got that, to a lot of people probably weird,
It's weird.
but I enjoy it.
It's kind of like a heightened reality.
Yeah.
Kind of. Because where it's like, it is supposed to be real. It's not supposed to be an alternate universe. But like, whenever you look at things like, even like the fashion design in like A Clockwork Orange, it's like, I'm sure somebody did have this kind of style in their house, shag carpet and red hair, even though you're 60 or whatever.
Yeah.
And, big statues of penises or whatever. But it's like, that's not, typical. But somebody probably did.
Yeah. And I think it's cool, too, how you touched on that, because the set design, albeit odd, I like it.
Yeah, yeah,
like
I love
all of the houses are like almost super modernized, especially when you're looking at it from 1971. But like
Absolutely.
his house, the one wall is like, I don't even know what it is, but it's
weird.
like it's never a wall I've ever seen in anybody's house.
Oh, it's weird. One of my favorite sets, maybe in movies. Period. It honestly is from the opening of that movie. Whenever you see like their underground,
like the milk bar.
yeah, the milk bar.
Yeah.
You know, obviously everything in it is weird, but something about it is just like it's like a VIP room of a strip club, but with art around it or whatever. It's very strange, but I like it for some reason.
Yeah, I've always liked Alexander's house, and the few times that I've watched this movie.
I fucking hate his house.
Really? Like the double staircase and the stairs aren't the same size, and then
I don't hate it as like it's good. It does what it's supposed to. But like, man, my brain goes into like whenever you see all that weird shit, and then it cuts to his bedroom, and it's just like a regular, like kind of modern bedroom where you just have like model cars and horse. I don't know specifically what's in that room, but it like something about it is just so jarring to me. It's weird.
Oh, you're thinking Alex's house. Yeah. Alexander's the old man.
Oh, sorry.
In the wheelchair.
Okay, yeah.
His house.
Oh, yeah, I love his house. You're right. You're
and
right.
where like the hallway that the door's on, every time they just like kind of cut to it.
I thought you said Alex's house. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, Alex and Alexander, not the greatest choice of names when you're making a movie, but
usually in movies, unless it's the point of the movie, you don't have two characters with the same name.
Yeah, but no, I get what you mean though with Alex's house. Mm-hmm. I definitely get what you mean,
dude. Every room is completely different.
It is.
I'm like, what the fuck? Who did this?
Yeah. But no, Alexander's house.
Like his mom is tacky as fuck.
Oh, the hair and
her hair drives me. That's what I'm saying. She's like 60 and she has like bright red hair.
I'm pretty sure it's a different color like every time you see her.
Yes, it is. Especially whenever he goes to prison and comes out.
Yeah, when they go to the hospital to visit him, it's purple.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, oh man,
and she's always crying.
There's people that I know here. Look, I'm not trying to go against your fan base at all, but there's just certain people that I know that are at a certain age where I'm like, you can't do that anymore. You need to stop.
Yeah, but no, Alexander's house was always like one of my favorite set pieces in that movie.
Yes, it is. Terrible scene, but yes.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's hard. This is a tough movie to really talk about.
Yeah, because it's
a fever dream.
There is a story. It is a fever dream. There's a story, but it's not an interesting one to tell.
Yeah,
it's very you know, like I was watching some Kubrick interviews and stuff talking about it, and like a short documentary. He's more like style and subject matter over like, you know, an actual through line of, you know, like this happens because, you know, like there's not a lot of cause and effect.
Yeah.
In a lot of his movies, like The Shining, there's not a lot of like, you know, things are happening like this because decisions were being made earlier.
Yeah.
You're just kind of along for the ride of, you know, style and substance in a way.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely has a story to it. Obviously, you've got Alex who's committing this ultra violence with his droogs, yeah. And it leads to him being almost betrayed, I would say, by his droogs, and that puts him in jail. And then from there, he gets the opportunity to leave early if he's this test subject, and the minister and the government get involved, and it ends up working, but at what cost?
And then at the end, it's like, did it work?
Because he tried to kill himself.
Because now he's a different kind of animal.
Yeah.
Something that like I really. You know, like I've probably looked up the meaning of like why is it called A Clockwork Orange at least like twice in my life, and this time hearing them talk about it in this documentary and stuff, I feel like I really get it. The idea of taking something organic like a human life and, you know, like the human spirit and whatever, and trying to turn it into like this mechanical, you know, whatever. Like every time he sees or hears anything violent or even music, you know,
the Ninth Symphony,
he feels, you know, sick or whatever. And that's like, I think I always saw it as like, oh man, like violence is wrong and look how crazy. And now on a rewatch, Kubrick is a very political person. It's very much on the forefront. And again, these are probably why certain movies like you have to grow into. Because as a kid, you don't really give a shit about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, the whole point of the movie, it's less so about the ultra violence and how he's getting his just desserts. It's more about what the government does to him as a result.
Yeah.
That's a crazy gaining thing, the sympathy on him, even though he's a murdering, you know, I'm not going to say that word with the R.
Yeah.
You know, just for the sake of YouTube monitoring things. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And something that always stuck out with me too is when he gets back to Alexander's house, and that's when you really find out like the politics behind the movie. Like they're like, we have this kid, he's a witness to what has gone on with the ministry, and we can use him for political pull and all of this, and like, so that's it. It just adds depth, I guess,
absolutely
to it. That I agree, you definitely wouldn't understand. Say you're
or
a
even
young
if
lad
you did,
watching this.
like again, I looked into it after I watched the movie, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. There are things about it, but even back then, I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Now, so I care a little bit more, so that I'm able to hold on to that ideology a little more, and how he just gets taken for a ride.
Yeah, Mac McDowell was great.
He's the best, man.
Yeah.
I already said he's on my list. I love that guy. Anytime he pops up, his voice, like butter.
Yeah.
Butter. As they once said about Count Orlok.
Yeah.
There is something like very... Because he's like ultra British.
Yeah.
And that's why, that Teen Titans cartoon, why he probably got cast as Mad Mod. He's supposed to be kind of like this Beatles era, like red floppy hair, like really, not Cockneyan, but just... Like, that guy has the most British voice I have ever heard out of a human being.
Yeah, he does. We should do a draft of actors with voices of butter. Ralph Ineson's my first pick. But
that's fair, man, honestly.
No, we're getting off topic. But in the good, honestly, I would just say most of the movie. It's one of those movies that I feel like you either are going to love it or you're going to hate it.
For sure.
I don't think there's really an in-between on it.
At the very least, I think it's one that, even if you do watch it and like it, probably going to have to sit on it for a minute.
Yeah.
And think about it. Because, again, the things that you're being shown, they're shown in a very cartoony, stylized, fun way. There's operatic music in the background, and people are getting kicked in the butt, or their cane is hitting them in the butt, or whatever. But it's like they're committing some pretty awful crimes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
If you stop and think like, oh yeah, right, this is...
There is some heavy subject matter in this, for sure.
Heavily.
Score.
Phenomenal.
Fantastic. When you were talking about the operatic music, like obviously
absolutely
getting Beethoven's great, because Beethoven's pretty well known for being one of the best, but like the score behind this movie is...
Oh my God. That theme is like... I listen to that theme sometimes. I think it's called like a March for the Queen's Funeral or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't even know, because again, there's parts of it that's like it's very futuristic and weird. It's kind of like the Jetsons, where it's got that like futuristic like 60s.
There was one song that I caught this time had a little bit of the bow, bow, bow from The Shining in it.
Oh, really?
I kind of caught it. It was like literally like 5 notes.
Okay.
And then it went back into Clockwork Orange. And I was like, I wonder if he kind of pulled inspiration from that to make the theme for The Shining.
I mean, I can hear him hitting the timpani or whatever with the boom, 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 boom. I could see how you could very easily boom, boom.
Yeah.
But interesting. I didn't. I've
both great themes. I mean, if we're going to talk about themes in general, The Shining's got to be talked about with that main title as well. But
definitely, I'm a bigger fan of the Clockwork Orange themes. Yeah. I am that.
I feel like it just has more to it.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah,
Somebody told me once, if you're ever on a road at night by yourself, to just start playing the main title. And I did once, and I was like, this is eerie as fuck.
Of The Shining?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never done that.
Really. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I've never actually latched on to... I know being the score guy is probably heresy to say. I've never latched on to The Shining theme song that much. I know it's iconic, and I do like it. But I guess that'd probably recontextualize it.
Yeah, maybe.
Listening to it like that. But there's definitely something about that, like, for the Clockwork Orange theme. I mean, there's like... it almost sounds like crystal rain falling or whatever.
Yeah.
Like wind chimes, just boom, 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 psh,
yeah.
Yeah. Like glass shattering.
No, I love the score in this movie.
Yeah. For sure.
Another good, I just had one that slipped my mind. What else do you got in the good?
I would say,
I'll let it come back in.
yeah, understood. As far as, sound goes and I have a pretty high interest in sound. And in the time of which this was made, it has pretty decent sound.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the dialogue comes through pretty cleanly. Obviously, it's been remastered and things like that. But on the whole, I like how the sound was recorded for this movie. And again, it just gives that feeling of the era. The costume design is insane, but I would say it's pretty great.
It's iconic.
as well. Yeah,
Especially,
absolutely, it's iconic.
You know, when they're wearing their all white with the
what is the I don't want to say jock strap.
It's basically
cod
what it
piece.
is. Yeah,
Cod piece.
yeah.
Yeah. I those outfits are so funny
with the hats, and then when they have the noses on.
Especially whenever they put those masks on, kind of creepy.
Yeah,
how they all look. And something that I want to mention in the good here too. I didn't realize this kind of context behind this movie. This movie freaked people the fuck out when it came out.
I could see that. I mean, especially, you're talking about the 70s. I mean, what are you going off of as far as, like, you got Psycho and the Universal Monsters? Like, you still haven't gotten The Exorcist. You still haven't gotten Texas Chainsaw. You still haven't got Halloween. So when this comes out, it's probably horror to some people.
Oh, for sure. It was. And there's certain parts of it that are supposed to be kind of funny and horrific that people really didn't start to see until later, which is weird because we're so desensitized to things that whenever you watch it, you go, oh, yeah, that's fun. Back then, this movie was problematic. So much so that they pulled it out of theaters because they were asked to, like, revolted against to the point where they had to pull it out of theaters. And then it kind of became an underground thing where it's like you're always trying to find a way to get a copy of, A Clockwork Orange or whatever. And so not only did that happen, but while Francis Ford Coppola, while Kubrick and his family were out shooting another film in Ireland, they didn't even want to shoot in England because people were in such a riot about this freaking movie.
Really?
That they decided to shoot in, I think it was Ireland, it was somewhere else. They were getting death threats and they had to change their names, appearance, whatever, and sneak out of the country because they were worried that they were going to, they were threatened to be assassinated.
Jeez.
Like, I did not realize how much this just changed things as far as, like, what you could see in a movie.
Yeah.
It just, people were just, the best way that they explained it, that mini documentary I listened to, people were just not ready for that at all.
Yeah. I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear the stories of when The Exorcist came out, like, that was, like, the scariest movie you could ever watch. And then seeing it for the first time a few years ago, I was like, fantastic film, but I don't think I got the scare factor because of what we've gotten.
It's so much more different.
I mean,
and that's why
80s and 90s alone, not even talking about what's coming out in our lifetimes, but, like, it's just crazy how far horror has come.
I don't know about you, but I've thought about, like, when I have kids, like, obviously give them modern, but, like, I'm going to try to sprinkle in a lot more of the older stuff and see. But, you think about when this movie came out, it was only, 10, 15 years prior, Elvis was getting arrested for thrusting his hips in concerts.
Yeah.
And then this comes out.
Yeah.
Where somebody gets beat to death with a giant sculpture of genitalia.
And doing the old in and out.
And the old in and out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gross.
Hate that's what it's called, but no.
It's probably the best. That's probably how we should say it in this review if we're going to talk about it.
I mean, that's what it's called in the movie. That's how it's referred to. Yeah.
Why the book was even written on A Clockwork Orange was because the man who wrote the book, this sort of thing kind of basically happened to his wife.
Oh, okay.
And this was his way of kind of like
shining light on it.
Yeah, and like undemonizing it in his head and like really bringing it to the forefront and how he was able to process with a strange way to do that though, to write a book. But it's kind of about sympathizing with Alex in a way. So I don't know. That's just really that changes a lot of shit.
Yeah.
For me, honestly, when I think about
a scene that I really liked was the scene where I don't even know where he's at, but he runs into these two girls and I don't know if they're popsicles or whatever, that they're in the phallic shape.
Yeah.
And just the way he flirts, I'm like,
it's weird.
Dude, that is bad game, but it worked. Like,
oh yeah, he had them both in his room.
He's like, hey sisters, like
hey sisters. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I love that was another thing they talked about a lot in that mini doc. There's like they have their own language.
Yeah.
Which apparently is a little different from the book, I guess, but like they're always like, I got 3 bloggers and I always just was like, oh, I just don't understand like English.
Yeah.
They made up a bunch of shit. Yeah. I know we're from a bunch of that
Eggy
stuff.
waggies.
No one's things like that.
Steaky wakes.
Yeah, all that kind of terminology. That shit nobody said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it always makes it kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like all the weird things that they say and the fact he's always like saying brothers right triumphantly and righteously as if what they're doing is good.
Another one that I always like too, because of you almost get like 2 twists in it, is when he's staring at the water and the bum they beat up earlier in the movie. approaches him for some cutters. And he realizes who it is, and then he gets beat up by a bunch of homeless people, and then the cops, kind of scoot away. And then
one of his droogs is...
Yeah. So I thought that was always, like, just kind of a little bit of shock factor,
You
know?
don't see that coming at all from one of those guys.
Yeah.
I always...
It was dim, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was, like...
Yeah, it was the big dumb one.
He doesn't say...
The big dumb one,
yeah. It definitely looked like Dim. He doesn't say his name when he realizes who it is, but... it looked like Dim to me.
Yeah, I think it was the big dumb one, whichever one that is. I honestly don't know the side character names. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Something that always. I'm gonna say it now because I don't want to forget it in the meh. I don't even know what this deserves to be. I just have always felt so uncomfortable at the scene where his teacher or his principal or whatever comes over and he's like, I'm not going to go to school. I'm not feeling well, whatever.
Oh,
and
that
he
was
just,
his, like...
or his advisor, maybe, or...
What's it called? Like a patrol officer, basically.
Parole officer or whatever.
Yeah.
And he just grabs him by the junk while he's like...
Yeah.
I'm like, God, this is weird.
Yeah.
Like, that is... I'm going to say it's in the good because it's funny, but it is fucking, like, really disturbing to watch happen.
Another good for me is that White Milk gets respect in this movie. Big.
Yeah, good.
Big White Milk fan here.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Any milk, chocolate milk.
I mean, it's about him becoming a big, strong, growing boy or whatever.
Exactly.
They interrupted that.
Just keeping his bones strong.
Yeah, just keeping his bones strong for kicking people in pools or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I always loved that scene because I think that actually surprised me that he did. Oh, no, it surprised me a lot the first time I watched it.
When he,
because they're just walking and out of nowhere he's just like, I'm going to kick the shit out of these two dudes.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he goes to help him out and he pulls out the little knife from the cane.
I always thought when he pulled the knife out, like, obviously in this last rewatch I just did, I know what's going to happen because this wasn't my first time watching this movie. But the first time I watched this movie, I thought he was going to do a lot worse than just slice
his arm.
Yeah.
And he falls back and he's like, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also just love how much slow-mo there is in this movie.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
For whatever. Like, they're dancing on stage.
The chain, going, and he ducks.
Yeah. Oh, my God, I love that. Yeah. It's the fact that he kind of blocks it, dodges it out, and then he just gets his ass kicked anyway.
Yeah.
I like the big tussle that they have in the,
abandoned whatever.
When they were going for an in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which both gangs were essentially fighting over that woman, weren't they? Kind of in a way.
She was gone. She escaped as soon as old
into...
Billy Boy was called out by
old
Alex.
Billy Boy.
Yeah, Billy Goat, Billy Boy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, nobody talks like that.
maybe in the 70s they did.
I doubt it.
Let us know in the comments if you were alive.
Let us know if we were not there.
If you were well versed in 70s culture, let us know if that's how they talked.
Yeah, maybe.
Did you go up to your friend and call him Billy Goat, Billy Boy?
Billy Goat, Billy Boy.
Hop over to the map.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know if I even really have anything to say that deserves to be in the meh, but I would say some of the subject matter just because, not to sound like that guy, like, oh, I'm an ally or whatever. Like, I hate those kind of people. That shit's annoying. But it is like, it's kind of uncomfortable sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes it is like, it can be kind of confusing not seeing it as, it never presents itself as being something that's okay.
Yeah.
But, with the music and sometimes it feels like you can kind of forget for a minute what we're doing here. So I would say maybe some of the subject matter in that way.
Yeah. Actually, before we hop to the map, I'm going to say one more thing. This last watch, I appreciated the jail stuff more.
Oh, a lot more. The first time I watched, I didn't like that stuff at all.
Because it definitely slows the movie down, but I appreciated it more this time. I think I did too. I got more into it. But yeah, we'll hop to the Met.
Second watch, it was for sure the best watch that I've had with that movie.
Yeah. So we'll hop to the Met, and I agree. Subject matter is it just sometimes it makes you feel uncomfortable at times,
but it's meant to.
For sure, it's meant to. But it's also like one of those things like you're watching, you're like, man, it makes you feel scummy to say that you like this movie. Like
exactly. That's what I'm saying. And like even in the scene, you're like, I kind of like the scene, but an awful thing is happening.
But it's necessary. Like, it's one of my biggest pet peeves with Rob Zombie is he'll throw that stuff in there and it has no carry on to the story. Halloween is the biggest one. I enjoy that first Halloween too. That scene Did not need to be in there.
No. That's past the point of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just being irritating.
Unnecessary.
Yeah.
So it was necessary, obviously, for the plot of this film and to push it forward and just to show how.
Oh yeah, they pushed the envelope pretty hard.
Yeah, just to show how messed up this character is, though. So I definitely think it's necessary, but it's always tough to watch and be like, I'm really enjoying this movie, but that makes me feel like like a POS kind of. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
So that I could definitely see that being in the meh. I don't have anything in the bad. I would definitely agree. Like,
I don't have anything in the bad. It would, and also some of the mad I'd also put here is like, this was kind of like one of the real first starts to like the debate of like, what will a movie get somebody to do kind of thing, which is a debate, frankly, I've been fucking tired of since I was like 17.
Yeah.
What will video games do to you? What will a movie do to you or whatever? If you watch the thread, I mean, it's just people who were going to do a bad thing anyway and just found a scapegoat for a movie they happened to like and decided to take what they wanted from a movie rather than what it was trying to tell you.
Yeah. I guess pacing at times, like I said, with that that jail scene, it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn.
Yeah.
I mean, because when you think about it, too, in the 70s, movies over 2 hours weren't common.
No. And it's pretty long. It's pretty long.
I think it's 220, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. I just watched it and like literally a couple hours ago, and it's escaping me. But it was a couple hours.
As a movie, I like.
I think it's like
sometimes
216.
It feels a little longer than 2 hours. If I'm honest.
I think it's 216. Yeah. But so at moments it's like okay.
It's
But and then my other mess probably the mom. I've never been a fan of her.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
And not even just the actor, just everything about it. Yeah. And the only thing I kind of like about it is you do see like the cause and effect there. That was like, she's obviously a pretty bad enablest mom.
Yeah. And
not that it's her fault that he ended up that way, but I mean, she didn't help at all.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to go to school? That's fine. You're like, you're going to this, whatever prison or whatever, or, the mental hospital. It is what it is. You come back, we kind of were fine without you, so move on kind of thing. Yeah, it's strange. Yeah. And again, and in a weird way, I'm also going to throw that house in the meh.
Okay.
I love the set design and everything. That house drives me insane.
Yeah.
That apartment house, whatever, it fucking drives me insane. It's so weird. Like on the outside, like the stairs going up, it's like an abandoned like complex from like, I don't even know. It's like a Compton, like Boys in the Hood fucking. But then you go inside and it's like futuristic, weird shag carpet.
Yeah.
70s. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
It drives me insane.
Drives you insane. That's okay.
Nothing in the bad, though. Nothing in the bad.
So I'll put over to our final thoughts and ratings. What do you want to leave off with Clockwork Orange, and what do you give it out of 10?
I mean, like I said, it's a movie that has to grow on you.
Yeah.
Or maybe it doesn't have to, but it certainly had to grow on me. I don't know what I was expecting, but I think it's definitely one that it would be worth asking somebody what the movie's about to kind of get an idea first before you go in.
Yeah.
Because, it's just not what you expect. All in all, I think there's a lot of great things to like about this movie. It's not one that I rewatch often, but it's one I'm never mad I rewatch at. And genuinely, like, this is something I should have talked about in the good. It is a technical marvel and some of the effects that they do and stuff. I know when they're driving the car, it doesn't look real. But, like, for back then, a lot of that kind of stuff looked fake as hell. So that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So all in all, I think it's... it deserves to be up there in the Criterion's closet or whatever. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10? Yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's definitely, I think having you with me for the first time I ever watched it enhanced things.
Okay, yeah.
And then...
First watch, I was alone, and I think I was sick, too, so I was like, this is weird.
I think this was my third watch, this one I just did. And like I said, I appreciated some specific scenes more, especially when it was within the jail and the test subject stuff and all of that, the torture part. But yeah, I agree. It's tough subject matter, but yeah, I mean, it's
necessary.
It's a very well made film. I mean, it's Kubrick. You know what you're going to get from him. That's usually at least an 8, but I'm going to go 9 out of 10 as well. And yeah, definitely check it out, and if you haven't already.
I don't know about you. Every time I give this movie space after I watch it, I start to be like, I feel like 9's kind of high. And then I watch it and then I go, yeah, no, that deserves to be enough. For some reason, I forget. I'm like, does it deserve to be like that high?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does.
It does. It's a very good film. There's just I couldn't give it a 10.
I can't. Something about it. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
But it's just. I think it's also just not my favorite kind of thing to watch.
Yeah.
That's also something I'd factor in. Like, I don't love rewatching it. Like, it's not something I want to rewatch. But when I do, I'm always like, good movie. I'm glad I watched it. You know?
Definitely a great film. That'll do it for Clockwork Orange. Kory, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely, brother.
Thank you all for watching and voting this last vote. I think this last poll got like 60 votes. So thank you guys for participating and let me know which movie to watch. 1972 poll will be going up a few days after this, so check that out and let me know what 1972 film we should review. But again, thank you guys all for watching. If you like what you're watching, check out some of these other videos. Hit the subscribe button or follow the social links down below. Always appreciated, and we will talk to you all soon. Peace.